All right, deep divers, buckle up, because today's story is a wild one. A real roller coaster of wealth, betrayal, and murder. Hit that like button, subscribe if you're new here, and get ready to dive into the Menendez brothers case. Remember 1989?
Oh, yeah.
Beverly Hills? The seemingly picture-perfect family ripped apart by a double homicide.
A case that's haunted America for decades, and now 34 years later, it's back in the headlines, sparking even more debate and division than before.
Okay, so for those just joining the conversation, Lyle and Eric Menendez were convicted of killing their parents. But get this, they might actually be released.
Wow.
And that has everyone, including their own family and the DA's office, completely split down the middle.
What's fascinating here is that Los Angeles DA George Gascon is the one recommending resentencing and potential release.
Yeah.
He acknowledges how brutal the murders were, but believes that after 35 years in prison, they are different people today.
Which you can imagine has caused quite a stir, right?
Yeah.
And it gets even wilder because Gascon's own office is divided on this. Some folks there think the brothers should stay locked up for good, while others are actually backing their release.
Oh, wow.
It's a total ethical and legal tug of war.
And this internal struggle within the DA's office actually highlights something really crucial about this case. There's this deep ethical dilemma. Can people who commit terrible crimes actually change? And if so, how do we balance the need for punishment with the idea of rehabilitation?
It's a question that's been debated for centuries, and the Menendez case brings it right to the forefront. And just when you think it can't get more complicated, enter the family.
Oh, boy.
On one side, you have their cousin, Karen Vandermolen, and another cousin, Tamara Goodell, who are over the moon about the possibility of release. They think Lyle and Eric have done their time and deserve to come home. They even mentioned hoping for a Thanksgiving reunion.
This makes you realize how personal and heartbreaking this case is. Family members, despite the horrors of what happened, still yearn for their loved ones to come home. It really speaks to the profound nature of family bonds.
Absolutely. But hold on, because it takes a sharp turn from there. Their uncle, Milton Anderson, he's 90 years old, and their mother's brother is vehemently against their release. He says the abuse claims the brothers made were completely fabricated, and their motive was pure and simple. That juicy $14 million inheritance. So you have this fractured family with drastically different views on guilt, innocence, and justice.
And this family divide further complicates things. It raises the question, whose truth do we believe? And how do we weigh the different perspectives, especially when they come from those closest to the tragedy?
It's like this case forces us to confront the fact that truth can be subjective, and sometimes there are no easy answers. Now, you can't talk about the Menendez brothers without addressing the abuse allegations that form the core of their defense. They claimed years of sexual and psychological abuse by their parents, which they said led them to commit the murders in self-defense.
This is where the case intersects with a larger societal conversation about abuse. Over the past few decades, our understanding of abuse, especially its long-term effects on victims, has drastically changed. This case reflects that changing landscape and forces us to look at it through a new lens.
And that new lens is precisely what makes this case so controversial, even after all these years.
Yeah.
What do you think about all of this so far? Drop your thoughts in the comments. Now we'll be right back after a quick word from our sponsors.
It's like we're looking at the case through a modern lens, right? We're more aware of the devastating and lasting impacts of abuse, and this new perspective naturally leads to more empathy and understanding for those who have suffered from it.
Exactly. But here's where it gets even more tangled. DA Gascon is in the middle of a tough re-election campaign, and he's trailing behind in the polls. Now, his opponent, Nathan Hochman, and the Association of Los Angeles Deputy District Attorneys are accusing Gascon of using this high-profile case as a political play to try and win back some support.
Yeah, it's hard not to see the political maneuvering happening here. Gascon's actions could be interpreted as genuine attempts to correct a perceived injustice, or they could be seen as a desperate move to salvage his career. This adds another layer of complexity to an already complicated case.
Absolutely. And it makes you question the DA's true intentions, doesn't it? Is he truly seeking justice for the Menendez brothers, or is this just a calculated political move?
It's a question that hangs over the whole case, and it's something the judge will have to consider when making a decision.
Now, to get a feel for public opinion, let's talk about the Menendez mansion on Elm Drive in Beverly Hills. You know, the actual scene of the crime. It's become a bit of a dark tourist attraction, believe it or not.
It's fascinating how these places steeped in tragedy become almost pilgrimage sites. It speaks to our fascination with true crime and our desire to understand the darker side of human nature.
For sure. And when you think about it, that mansion is like a silent witness to this whole saga. It represents the family's wealth, the brutality of the murders, and the enduring mystery of the case.
And it's fascinating how different people react to it. Some visitors feel sympathy for the brothers, seeing them as victims of a terrible upbringing. Others see them as cold-blooded killers who should never be released.
You see that stark contrast in the reactions. Forgiveness versus condemnation. It highlights just how much this case polarizes people even today.
It's a reminder that justice isn't always black and white. There are shades of gray, different perspectives, and no easy answers. And the Menendez case embodies that complexity in a really profound way.
Which brings us back to that big question, does time served really equate to redemption? What factors should determine whether someone, even after committing a heinous crime, deserves a second chance?
This is the heart of the matter, isn't it? And there are so many things to consider. The nature of the crime, the impact on the victims' families, the possibility of rehabilitation, and of course the question of justice being served.
It's a heavy topic, no doubt about it. This deep dive has taken us through so many twists and turns.
Yeah.
Family drama, legal battles, ethical dilemmas, and the ever-present shadow of politics.
Yeah.
But ultimately, the fate of the Menendez brothers remains uncertain.
And that's the thing about this case. It keeps us guessing. It challenges our assumptions about crime and punishment, and it forces us to confront some uncomfortable truths about ourselves and society.
Yeah, it really makes you think, doesn't it?
It does.
About, like how far forgiveness can go, and
Yeah.
second chances, and really what justice means.
It really does. And, the fact that there are no easy answers is what makes it so compelling. It forces us to grapple with those big questions and confront our own beliefs about guilt, redemption, and, the complexities of the human heart.
Before we wrap up this deep dive, we want to hear from you. Do you think the Menendez brothers should get a second chance? What factors do you think the judge should consider when making his decision? Let us know down in those comments.
Yeah, this is a conversation that deserves to continue. It's a story that pushes us to examine our own values and consider what justice looks like in a world where people are capable of both terrible acts and profound change.
As this saga unfolds, we'll be here diving deep into the latest developments. And don't forget to like this video, subscribe to our channel for more thought-provoking content, and hit that notification bell so you don't miss out on future deep dives.
Until next time, keep questioning, keep exploring, and keep diving deep.
We'll see you in the next episode.